blackmail material.
No, I think it'd be a good cover shot. I think that's here we go.
The promo.
And the essential orderliness. It's hard for me to say that word. It must be it's definitely a Freudian issue with me. Orderliness. I need a drink.
Yeah,
I want that to be on there too. There had been, over time, there had been various hues and cries about the middle school and what can we do to make it better. And we were just sort of the next wave of that. That was really the beginnings of the piece. It's certainly no longer our reason to be. It was our reason to be born, but it's no longer our reason to be at all. It was a group of people. In fact, initially we weren't even aware of charter schools. It was a group of people looking to drive some change at the local middle school. And we had a meeting. It was at the Orleans Elementary School in the fall of '94. Was that? Yeah, it was in the fall of '94. And there was probably about 25 people there, including the state representative, Robert Lawless from this area, who, in the midst of our discussion that night, told me for the first time about charter schools. I hadn't even heard of them before. And in fact, after that first night, creating a charter school was well down the list of possible ways to reform the local middle school. We had talked about a school within a school. We had talked about somehow some sort of adjunct program, but there was really no thought of a charter school until Representative Lawless told us about it, and we continued to meet and continued to find resistance to those other forms of reform. And it became obvious that the only way to truly change an existing institution is to set up an alternative. This is our first year, and I think the older classes that were attracted by this school are very hard to categorize in that manner. They're pioneers. I'm sure if you opened up the sides on the first Conestoga wagons that headed out of St. Louis for the West, you would find a tremendously diverse number of people, each with a very different and personal reason for leaving their home situation. And I think that's very much the case here. It's very hard to generalize or categorize the sort of kid who's here. In hats, and I've been teaching for 30 years now. 1966 first year, yeah, 30 years. I must have spent at least one full year of that 30 years in faculty meetings in which we discuss gum and hats and things like that. And I don't consider it time well spent, and neither do most of my colleagues. And when we met for the first time, of course, that issue came up. And I think we were unanimous over the fact that we just simply were not going to make it a point, and we're just going to let this see what happens. And we have, and which is pretty risky when you're dealing with a large number of kids, because you do like to have expectations set and ready when they arrive, and we by and large didn't, and consequently we've had to scramble around a lot of limit setting as we go. But those previously hot button issues like gum and hats, it's amazing how they're non-issues. They just don't, they're not important. At first, a lot of the kids were really amazed that they could actually wear hats, and they did. Now, there's probably only 2 or 3 kids that you'll notice on a regular basis with hats on, and no one's told them to take them off. It's just been a natural evolution to hatlessness. I don't know where you would put us on the continuum of gum chewing, hat wearing, down to uniform. We're somewhere in the middle of that. We don't worry too much about either one of those. And I think as the kids very quickly found that those aren't the real issues. Not to say that we don't have a lot of issues of kind of limit setting issues with the kids. We found that it has been difficult to open up so fast, and we opened this place on the utter fly, right on the run. I'm sure you've heard that 2 o'clock in the morning of the day the school opened is when the blackboards arrived. We couldn't set foot in this building until 48 hours before the kids arrived because of the issues with the local building inspector. So we just opened this on the run. Some of the staff didn't come on board until August. We were making this up as we went along, and we're highly involved. So there was not a body of rules for the kids. In a way, I think we've been fortunate. We now know what we need. I think that's one of the roles of charter schools, is to cut away a lot of the layers of bureaucracy and limitations that have kind of calcified on the schools over years, and see what we really need. What do we need in terms of limit setting? Do we need great big fat books that tell us whether or not it's okay to walk upstairs on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, or can we exist with a more human kind of golden rule approach to living together? And my guess is that it's going to end up somewhere in the middle, closer to the golden rule.
Watching this.
How come you're the only one who knows how to tie?
Because I really wanted to learn. I didn't want to ridiculous
I
and
learned
have
for a
somebody
day.
else tie my tie.
I learned 5
We had a
times each.
couple of very interesting seminal meetings prior to opening the school, in which board members and staff and other interested people got together to essentially to write a mission statement. But it was much more than that. I dislike mission statements. They're either too narrow or they're everything, all in one little thing, and no one could live up to them. They're just useless. But that was our idea, was to pretty much figure out who we were going to be. And the word excitement kept coming up. In fact, we have that document, and notice we even phrased it, we identified 4 different kinds of excitement. And it was very, because I'd never seen an educational document before that used the term excitement. So it's been part of us even before the kids got here, and it's something that people from the outside, like yourself coming here, have noticed, is the excitement on the part of the kids. One man came by the other day and was looking around, and he called it elan, which I thought was a nice way of capturing the excitement that the kids have. And
What does that mean exactly?
it's a French term that means kind of joyfully engaged in something. But yeah, someone with elan.
You've gotten a word
Joyfully
for
engaged.
And have you ever heard of Piaget?
Oh, Piaget.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I have heard of Piaget. Was this one of his experiments?
No.
No? Then why do you ask?
But it tells you.
Is that part of the test?
It would prove it if you did or not. And you just kind of proved it wrong.
I proved what? That Piaget was wrong?
Yeah.
How so?
Exactly. Because he thinks that there's 4 different stages, and
What are the 4 stages?
I have it written down here. There is.
See the guy that talked about concrete stage and concrete operation?
Yeah. There's the sensory motor object stage. There's the pre-operational stage.
Right.
There's the concrete operational stage.
And then there's the
Formal operational
operational stage. And where would you put me along that continuum?
Well, in the way you insert the sensory motor object.
We don't have yet in place anywhere near a rigid system of discipline, and Some schools take up a lot of their time and energy doing just that. They have assistant principals who make, $60,000 or $70,000 a year, whose job it is to do crime and punishment, and to set the parameters for that, and to go ahead and do the punishing. Our sense was that through the smallness of the school and through the homeroom concept, where kids are with one teacher for significant periods of time and can establish close relationships with teachers, that a lot of the need for that sort of discipline disappears. And in fact, it's worked out that way. We have, all of the staff have had times when they've had to make clear decisions about discipline. But not all that many.
Spanish and French are as follows, so make sure you have that. When you have it, you may go.
I hope you're not going to see the interplay. Like this afternoon, a girl at homeroom time, a girl's mother came to pick her up early because her grandmother had died. And I think one of the things that's unique about this school, probably due to its smallness, but partly due to the population, is that there was an immediate coming around her, and comforting her. What can I do for you? As her friend, not just her friends, but everyone in the class. There was a moment when everyone said, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" Which is not a common other places. Once again, I attribute that more to our size. But that's the sort of thing that makes a small place a special place. That I'm not sure you can any camera, unless you have them set up like convenience stores and just get the whole day, get everything all the time. But anytime you slice reality into pieces and then reconstruct that, you miss stuff. But I think the essential nature of the place will come through. If you wander around here, as you have for a few days with a camera, you're gonna get the pulse of the place. There'll be, but I think it's the more personal things that we'll probably miss out. You wouldn't catch me in the back room with a kid this morning talking him into going on the White Mountain trip because he'd had certain trepidation about doing that. And once again, those are the personal things that happen that won't really get shown. It's tough to get a favorite thing, but when I'm talking about this with people from far away that don't see me in my teaching life, and I try to report in what's going on with me, the thing that always comes out first is collegial. I really like the people I'm working with. I feel tuned in with the way they approach children and life, and I've been so pleased and awed at times by my fellow adult human beings in the school. And it wasn't always true. I mean, I'm not slamming the middle school. I have very good friends there, but there were so many people, and so many people had probably been there a little too long, that I had begun to doubt whether I could ever have that sort of collegial relationship again in schools, which I had for many years early in my teaching career. So that's really been a favorite part of it. It's been working with adult people, and not just immediate staff, but parents and all the adults that you bump into in the course of doing this. It's been great to have. It's an energizing thing for an older teacher to have, and as an adjunct to that is working with younger people, which, because of rather peculiar realities, the local public schools 10 years ago chopped off, no, actually it was more than 16 years ago, 1980, when Proposition 2.5 was passed, the next 2 years they chopped off all their junior staff. And what resulted was now in the mid-1990s was a teaching staff where everyone's 50 years old. Every single teacher at the middle school right now is 50. And it's been great to work with younger people. That thing. Least favorite is, it's a least favorite. That is a tough one, about least favorite. I'm thinking, in a personal sense, my least favorite aspect is it's been so involving for me personally, getting this place. You're working with a group to get it off the ground initially, to plan it and execute it, and then just jump into it full tilt, boogie, teaching and doing everything else. It's taken too much of my own life. I feel disconnected more than ever from my own family, from friends, from life outside the school. Actually, that's my my least favorite aspect of this, is that it's literally, it's kind of co-opted my being for a while, and I want that part of my life back. And I see that happening it's already happening, and it'll be back once we expand and get somewhat stable around the structure of the school, curriculum-wise. Then I'll come home, dear. I know, but it's really been a tremendously involving project. The organic, evolutionary kind of imperative of who we are dominates the narrative, the flat line kind of growth. I'm not sure where that's going just now. We do have mandates set by the state. We have 5 years to achieve the goals of our charter, and those are fairly clear and are written down, and the state's got them. So we do have to get somewhere. We have goals to attain, and we're working towards those. But as all of education, the real interesting part is getting there. How we actually attain those goals. And that's evolving. We're going to be a very different place next year. We're taking on new teachers. We have a new director that's going to be coming in. We're enlarging our space. We're taking on a big new group of students who will change the face of the place forever. I mean, each new batch of kids is going to make this a very different place, and the families that come with them. So I hope we never get where we're going. I just want to keep going. Yeah.
Sort of not been touched upon yet?
No, I think you got it all. You got absolutely everything. There's nothing more about this school that you could possibly find, unless you could use your cameras to find out what kid is stealing the wafer from the urinals. I'd really like to set one in there for a while and find out who's taking the urinal wafers. If you can do that.
Who would want to take the urinal wafer? That's probably the place to start. Okay. So I'll take that as a no then.
Great.
Okay.